Hi and welcome. In this video we're going to learn how to colour balance using the very powerful curves adjustment layer. Also we're going to learn how to access some of the hidden or secret functions that are inside the auto button. So let's get on. My name's Ken Fisher and this is LiveLink Training. And don't forget, if this is your first time with LiveLink Training, please visit my website, and if you scoot to the bottom of any page, just give this link a click here to subscribe to my YouTube channel. That would be really helpful. Thank you very much. Let's get on. Okay, the curves adjustment layer is probably the most useful of all the regular adjustment layers. It's commonly used to fine-tune image attributes such as brightness and contrast, since it allows us to selectively lighten and darken individual areas within an image based on the particular area's luminance values. So if we add a curves adjustment layer to this image here, you can see the properties dialog over here that we've got. This is where all the luminance values, this is the histogram. And what we can actually do is now, based on this curve, we can lighten or darken. So if I click and pull that curve up, then I'm going to lighten the image, but I'm lightening the whole of the image. And if I bring it back down, I can darken the image. But also I can do it selectively on different areas. So if I wanted, then I could say, well, let's get rid of that point first. I could say, if I wanted to add some contrast, then I could click up here and let's say lighten the highlights, and I could darken the shadows. And what's that doing? It's adding contrast, making the darker pixels darker and the lighter pixels lighter. Now, a lesser known fact is that the curves adjustment can also be used for correcting or manipulating the colours within an image. Now this uses the individual colour channels within the curves dialog, which is red, green and blue. Now let's move on to the auto button. Now the auto button also has some cool stuff under the bonnet. Let's reset this first. There we go. Now if we're looking here, we've got the auto button here, and if you click on it, it will give you a result. But that result is based on some hidden features in it. And if you hold the Alt key down and click on the auto button, you get the auto color correction options dialog come up. And here we've got 4 different algorithms for correcting the color. We've got enhanced monochromatic contrast, enhanced per channel contrast, fine dark and light colours, and enhanced brightness and contrast. But how do they differ? This is obviously the one that's doing by default, but is that the one the best for you? Well, if we don't know about them, we can't use them to our advantage, can we? So let's have a look at these in a little bit more detail now. Okay, let's use another image to look at this. So I'm just going to cancel out of that, and I'll click on this, which is the start image. And this, I've got the base image, which I've just called control, so we can compare each of the 4 methods against this control image, which obviously has a little bit of a color cast. Now these are the 4 that we've got. We've got enhancement monochromatic contrast, enhanced per channel contrast, fine dark and light colors, and enhanced brightness and contrast. So let's have a start by the top one, which is enhanced monochromatic. I knew I'd have trouble saying that. Enhanced monochromatic contrast. And I've just put them into a group with a curves adjustment layer. Now if I just double click on that, and I've clipped it to each one, so we'll be able to look at each one individually, the effect it has. Now over in the properties panel here, we can see we've got the actual curves adjustment. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold the Alt key down like we did before and click on the auto button, and I'm going to select enhance monochromatic contrast, and then I'm going to click OK. And here you can see what's happened. It has definitely, if I just turn off the visibility eye, you can see it's made it a little bit more contrasty, but it hasn't done anything at all on the colour cast. So why is this? Well, this is because enhanced monochromatic contrast, it clips all the channels identically. Now this preserves the overall colour relationship while making the highlights appear lighter and the shadows appear darker, so it actually does get more contrasty. And so this time Photoshop's making the darkest pixels black and the brightest pixels white, but on a composite basis. It's not looking at individual colour channels. So in other words, all three channels are affected in exactly the same way. Now this means we get darker shadows and brighter highlights, but the natural colour cast of the image is not affected. Now the auto contrast command actually uses this algorithm as well. Okay, let's look at the next one now, which is enhance per channel contrast. So we'll just close that one up and we'll switch it off, and then we'll switch this one on. So enhance per channel contrast, and we have got our, we double click, we've got our curves adjustment layer again. Now what we're going to do with this, again we're going to hold Alt and click on auto, but this time we're going to have enhance per channel contrast, and we're going to click OK. Now let's have a look how that differs. If we turn this, the actual adjustment on and off, it certainly has had a go at correcting that colour cast. But what that does is it maximises the tonal range in each channel to produce a more dramatic correction. Now because each channel is adjusted individually, enhance per channel contrast may remove, or it may even add, a colour cast. Now the auto tone command uses this algorithm as well. So we can see it's doing a little bit. It's certainly done a bit of a correction, but not as much as I'd like. You can see the whites are certainly a little bit whiter. Yeah, the whites are definitely a little bit whiter, but it's still not there. And you will have to try this on different settings, because it will vary for each image. Now what's actually going on with enhance per channel contrast then? Well, Photoshop evaluates each channel independently and makes the darkest pixels in that channel black and the brightest pixels white, and stretches the other luminance levels across the spectrum. And as it does so on a channel by channel basis, so each channel is treated independently. Now what that means is that you end up changing the overall colour cast in an image. So you may find that this is useful if an image contains a colour cast that you want to get rid of. And you can see now that it has affected each of the channels independently. So let's just close that one down, switch it off, and we'll try now find dark and light colours. So let's give that a go. So we can double click on that. We've got the curves adjustment layer up again. Double click on the auto command. But this time we'll try find dark and light colours. So we'll click OK, and we'll see that that's not made a great deal of difference. Find dark and light colours actually finds the average lightest and the average darkest pixels in an image and uses them to maximise contrast while minimising clipping. Now the auto colour command actually uses this algorithm. Now what Photoshop is doing is making the darkest pixels black and the brightest pixels white. Once again on a channel by channel basis, just as the auto tone command, but it's also neutralising the midtones. So this is the only auto function that actually changes the midtones inside the image. So if we have a quick look at that compared to the original, you can see that it has made some changes to the actual colours, and I think that is a much better one. So there we've got the control image, and there we've got find dark and light colours. I think that looks quite good. So far that's my favourite. Okay, so we'll close that one up and we'll open up enhance brightness and contrast. Now let's get the curves up again. Now this uses the auto function. Now it's built into brightness and contrast. So if I just show you that now, if we go and pick a brightness and contrast adjustment layer, just put it there, you can see that there is now an auto button in it, and this auto uses exactly the same algorithm to correct the colour. So we don't need that, we'll just get rid of that. Okay, so we've got enhanced brightness and contrast, so let's have a go at that. So we'll go to Alt, double click. We're already in as default enhanced brightness and contrast, so we'll click OK, and we'll see this one. If we turn it on and off again, it's not bad, but we've now got the fourth option, and this brightness and contrast, it uses a content aware method. Now the old way was to do it per channel, and this generally caused a colour shift and left gaps in the histogram, meaning data were being lost. So the new way, if you look at the tooltip for instance, it's to analyse the image to do content aware monochromatic, I'm at it again, monochromatic enhancement. It's a long-winded way of saying we look at your histogram and we tune it based on what's there. So let's just close that one down, and then we'll have a look at each of the four in turn and see if we can come up with a favourite. Okay, let's have a quick compare. Let's go first for enhance monochromatic contrast. If we look at that compared to the control, I'll turn it on and off, and we just found that that just made it a little bit more contrasty, but didn't really affect the colour. If we now try enhance per channel contrast, you can see that again, it does make a stab at correcting the colour quite significantly. Okay, fine, dark and light colours, let's have a look at that one, and I think that does it even better. And then in this particular case, enhanced brightness and contrast, yeah, it has a go, but it doesn't really take you in any particular direction with it, so I'm not that keen on that one. I think my favourite out of this lot is fine, dark and light colours. So if we go now into the auto function, then we've got enhanced brightness and contrast, fine, dark and light colours. Now if I wanted to, I could save that one as the default, so that every time I do it, it just uses fine, dark and light colours. I really don't find that too useful because every image is different, so I don't want to get into the mindset of, well, I'll just click the auto button and accept what it is. So my workflow now is to just have a quick try of each of these to see if anyone comes out on top, and sometimes one will come out a lot on top. And there is also a snap to neutral midtone that's available on a couple of these. And what this will do is get Photoshop to find a neutral grey somewhere in the image and try and colour balance from that. So if I click snap to neutral midtones, you'll see that let me just use that. Yeah, I think if you look at the grass probably in the background, you'll see that that's giving us a little bit better colour, and in the skin tones. So if you like fine, dark and light colours and snap to neutral midtones, if I want to, I could save that as my default and click OK. Well, that's it for our brief look into the hidden 4 functions that underlie the auto button in curves, that can not only be used for correcting contrast but can also be used for colour correction. I do hope you enjoyed that. If you did, please give me a thumbs up or leave a message under the video for me and I'll get back to you. Okay, well, that's it for now. I'll see you in the very next video. Bye for now.